What's up guys, this is Julian and I'm back here with another video, and apologies for the delays, but it's been a long time, got COVID and everything, but here I am back with another video. Just more videos from the Retro Cup that I took a while back, and this is a team featuring Dewgong and Double Fire. So basically it's Dewgong in the lead. Dewgong is known for its bulk and just spamminess with Icy Wind and Ice Shard. And then I have two fire types in the back, Kanto Shadow Ninetales as the safe swap, and then Shadow Alolan Marowak, which is actually a relatively new shadow, which was accessible only via a little event where you can evolve Q-Bones to get Alolan Marowak with the move of Shadow Bones. So I was lucky enough to get a pretty good IV Shadow one for the Great League, and here I am just wanting to showcase it here. So just notice here that the Kanto Ninetales is actually running the fast move of Ember, which is a legacy fast move. It's either up to you whether you want to choose Ember or Fire Spin. Ember does the more fast move pressure, while Fire Spin does a little bit more consistent damage. So Ember is on a little bit on the less energy generating side here. So keep that in mind. So in this battle here, I'm going to just go through it right now. I am up against a Nidoqueen here with the Shadow K Ninetales, and I was able to take down their Snorlax here with the Dewgong earlier. So I stay swapped right into the Kanto Ninetales, and I was able to get a shield with the Weather Ball. So now, of course, I'm down shields, and they have to use an Earth Power to take me out. So Nidoqueen does go for the Earth Power here, and I do decide to come back in with the Dewgong here just because I still have some energy, and I have the move to threaten the Nidoqueen. So I'm going to go right for this Icy Wind here and just take it out. And just know that these battles were done from last season here, the season of Interlude, so I was still kind of experimenting with teams to run in the Retro Cup, and I think this one was pretty successful, and this one was a lot of fun to run. And just here that I was able to get the matchup that I wanted here, and I have the Shadow Alolan Marowak up against the Wigglytuff, and of course the charms are going to be resisted due to the fire type on the AWAC here. And the Shadow one, it definitely is really good, does a lot of damage, and with the fast move pressure of Fire Spin, it can really put in the hurt to Pokemon that don't resist it at all, like this Wigglytuff here, and I'm able to Fire Spin down the Wigglytuff here. So that's a great game. Well played to my opponent. Alright, and we're moving on to the next battle. Here we have Dewgong against a Dewgong. So this is actually a very, very tricky lead to go up against because Dewgong, the mirror match can be long, and then the fire types don't really want to be taking any moves here. So I'm just going to be going straight for Icy Wind, and I see that the opposing Dewgong is going to be doing the same. So we're just going to be spamming out Icy Winds for a little bit. As again, we can tell here, Dewgong is pretty bulky, and just with the debuff potential of Icy Wind, it can really drag out a lot of matches. So they actually decided to shield this Icy Wind, which I thought was pretty surprising here. And I'm going to go straight for another one right here on the CMP tie, and I noticed that I do lose the CMP tie against their Dewgong. So again, we're going to be continuing to debuff ourselves here with Icy Wind, and for some reason there's just been a bunch of visual bugs with Pokemon Go here in PvP lately, so just ignore that. But we're going to be continuing to fire off debuffed Icy Winds, so at this point we're both double debuffed. And I'm going to try to catch a move here on the Shadow Kanto Ninetales, and at this point I do want to swap out of that mirror matchup and see what they want to do and see what they respond with. So they are staying in here for a little bit, and they do have a Snorlax, so this is actually pretty good. What I'm going to be doing here is go straight for the Overheat, and I can take one move here from the Snorlax at this range, so it doesn't really matter what they throw, whether it be a Body Slam or a Superpower, I can tank it. So I'm going to overfarm just a little bit more and go for the Overheat right here. So even when debuffed, this Overheat will be still be doing a lot of damage here against the Snorlax. So they do end up shielding it, and they do respect it. So that's fine. What I'm doing here is just throwing the Weather Ball right here just to be doing some nice chip damage here against the Snorlax. So that's okay. I was able to get the second shield from my opponent here, which is good, and do some nice chip damage against the Snorlax. So that's fine. And I do have to come back in with the Dewgong at this point because I recognize that um, the Dewgong will not really have a good matchup against the AWAC here, and my AWAC doesn't want to go up against the Snorlax. So going to be firing off the Icy Wind. I did have to shield just in case they decided to throw a superpower, but unfortunately I got baited with the Body Slam here, so that's fine. What I'm going to do at this point is farm down if I can, and they actually do an aggressive swap back into the Dewgong, so again, going to be going for Icy Winds here, just to be chipping it and debuffing the Dewgong. So I just do have to keep in mind that the Snorlax is still alive at this point. So again, going to be going for the Icy Wind here. I'm going to no shield, of course. There's no reason for me to shield anything from the Dewgong. It's going to be double resisted. And eventually I do decide to swap to my AWAC here. So what I'm going to be doing is going for the farming up a bit more energy, then throwing the Icy Wind again right here. And of course this is going to be continuing to debuff the Dewgong from their opponent's side. And I'm going to be firing off another one in just a little bit, but I do sneak an extra one through. So they're going to be throwing another one right here, doing some nice damage. So now I'm going to be swapping into the AWAC while continuing to hold on to the move for Dewgong just for later. Going to be firing off this Bone Club right away to take out the Dewgong. So they won't be able to get a Water Pulse through. So this Bone Club will be taking out the Dewgong, and I'll just have to see what they have in the back. And it's a Venusaur, so this is good. Good game right here. And there really isn't much that this Venusaur can do to me. Both Frenzy Plant and Sludge Bomb resisted. Just going to be going for Bone Club just in case they decide to catch a move on the Snorlax. I can just safely no shield the AWAC. Again, I'm resisting both the Frenzy Plant and the Sludge Bomb, so still does a lot of damage, but at this point I can just farm down the Venusaur, and they only have the Snorlax here in the back, and that's pretty much going to be a good game. Just going to be firing with the Bone Club, and that should be enough at this point to take out the Snorlax. So that is a great game. Well played to my opponent there. Alright, and we're moving on to the next battle. Here we have Dewgong in the lead versus a Pidgeot. This is where I want to see the Pidgeot here. So the opponent is going to swap out into a Haunter. So I'm going to swap right into my Kanto Ninetales right away. And just going to be starting to get in header energy. I'm going to just go ahead and shield whatever this Haunter throws, and they're going to end up throwing a Sludge Bomb, which is actually pretty good for me. So I'm going to try to farm down this Haunter as soon as I can. And they do end up getting to another move, so I will have to double shield here. I have a lot of energy here on this Ninetales, so I do want to preserve it. And they are probably going to come back in with the Pidgeot, so I'm going to be throwing a Weather Ball, but they do sneak through a Gust, which is unfortunate. So this is probably going to be doing some nice chip damage or getting a shield, and they end up no shielding here, which is really bad. So I'm going to now throw the Overheat. This will probably be getting the shield from the Pidgeot here. So I'll go for an Overheat, and this will be getting the shield, which is fine. But now what I'm going to be doing here is aligning my Dewgong back onto the Pidgeot. And even if they do throw a Brave Bird, I can still tank it pretty well. So let's see what they do here. They do go for the Brave Bird, which is fine. And I'm going to be swapping into my Alolan Marowak to counter what they have in the back. And they do have a Machamp. So I'm going to be going straight for the Bone Club. This is going to be chipping the Machamp a little bit here. And at this point, I can just tank the damage here. And they do end up shielding the Bone Club, which is fine. And the Machamp has to go for the Rock Slide to take on my Alolan Marowak. But I'm able to get to another Bone Club here just to continue to chip down this Machamp some more. So that the Dewgong can, or it actually KOs at this range. So at this point, the Pidgeot comes back in and surrenders because there's nothing they can do against the Dewgong in the back. Great game, well played. So I wanted to also showcase some battles that I did end up losing here. This was a 3-2 set. So in this battle here, we have Dewgong against a Blastoise. So this is a pretty good matchup here. I'm going to be resisting the water guns and the hydro cannons from the Blastoise, but I do have to watch out for the Skull Bash. So that's the only real thing I have to watch out for here in this matchup. And it's a good thing I'm seeing this on the lead. So I am going to be continuing to fire off Icy Wind here against this Blastoise. And I don't have to shield the Skull Bash, even though it'll do a lot of damage. So I can tank it fairly well. So yep, the Blastoise does go for the Skull Bash here. So I'm going to over farm just a little bit more and throw another Icy Wind here against the Blastoise. And again, this is going to start to get the Blastoise a little bit lower, but they can still no shield here because they do have a lot of health left here. And what I'm going to be doing here is going for another Icy Wind right here. At this point, they're going to be 3 times debuffed with your attack, so their attacks will get less and less damage. So, going to be trying to get to the farm down here and seeing what they want to do. So at this point, I do decide to shield just in case, and I do want to try to get to a farm down here. So they do go for another Skull Bash, which is fine. I'm going to try to over farm here as much as I can, and then take out the Blastoise here. So I'm going to stay swap immediately into Ninetales and see what they have in the back, and it's a Hypno. So, and then they actually do swap into a Dragonair, which is the worst case scenario pretty much. So at this point, I have to let the Ninetales go. I should have thrown a Water Ball here, basically to get some chip damage against the Dragonair, but they do end up taking me out with the Aqua Tail, and I have almost 2 Icy Winds against this Dragonair, so I can just fire them both off here. But yeah, I do end up firing off the second one here, but the Alolan Marowak is still going to have a little bit of a hard time dealing with this Dragonair just because of its resistances to these Fire Spins. So I'm able to get the Dragonair a little bit low, but I do have to now be careful here. The Marowak, I do end up no shielding because I do have to also worry about the Hypno. So what I should have done here is I definitely should have committed a shield soon, but they do swap back into the Hypno, and I'm able to go for a Shadow Bone here. The Aqua Tail does still do a little bit of nice damage to the Marowak, even though it is double debuffed. So I am able to get to the Shadow Bone here and farm down this Hypno. So I'm able to get to the Shadow Bone, but I do end up losing with the move, so that was really unfortunate. And I could have just fired the Bone Club right there, but that's okay. That was a great game, well played. And just a quick note before the start of the next battle, that these battles were taken during the Kanto Cup, during this past season actually, and not the interlude season. That was my apologies there. So in this final battle here, we have Dewgong up against a Nidoqueen, which is a great lead. So I'm going to be swapping into my Kanto Ninetales, and they do have a Alolan Marowak of their own, which is a non-shadow version. So I am going to no-shield this first Bone Club, because again the Fire Spins are resisted, and so are the Embers, and it still does a nice chunk of damage. So what I'm going to be doing here is going straight for the Overheat. Even though it is resisted, it will do a lot of damage. So I'm going to be going straight for the Overheat here against this Alolan Marowak, and they do no shield, which is fine, and it is a CMP tie. So I actually made a mistake here. I definitely should have kept alignment against this opponent, because the Nidoqueen would have been doing pretty well here against the Alolan Marowak, and I wanted to keep alignment with Dewgong against Nidoqueen. So that was a mistake here on my end. So I'm going to be coming back in with my Alolan Marowak here and getting some chip damage off. So they do come back in with a Nidoqueen, which is expected, and definitely a mistake here on my part is to not keep alignment. So I should have done that. I should have fought for switch there. So I do go for the Bone Club, which again does some nice damage, and they do have an Alolan Raichu, so this is very bad here, and that is definitely not what I wanted to see in the back. So with the Alolan Marowak, I could have definitely been doing a lot better with the Shadow Bones and the Bone Clubs. But here um, I am forced into a losing matchup here, and they do end up CMP tying here. So I do end up giving 2 shields to my Alolan Marowak to see what happens. So they do go for a Wild Charge here, which is great. Um, so I do have to shield this move from the Alolan Raichu. Could be another Wild Charge, which they do end up going for. So I'm going to go for a very aggressive farm down, and I am able to do that. So that's great. So I do go for the Shadow Bone against the Nidoqueen here. But I think what I did here was to call call that they were baiting, and instead of going for the Earth Heart here. So I do end up shielding here just in case. It is an Earth Power, and it's just a Poison Fang. So the Fire Spin does go through, and I do end up winning that game. So actually, that was good. Good game, well played with my opponent. So if you want a fun team to run during the Kanto Cup, this is a great team that I would highly recommend. Double Fire is actually very strong. And then Ice types in the lead. Again, you're weak to fighting, but you do have a good check to fighters in the Alolan Marowak in the back. Just be careful for rock types. Rock types will be this team's biggest weakness. So yeah, those are the battles that I wanted to showcase today. And thank you guys for watching. If you guys are interested in these type of battles, please feel free to give a like to the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell just for whenever my next video decides to drop. So thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.